Okay, so yesterday, I was preparing a video about the Alton Sterling situation, and I wanted to upload the video on yesterday, but for some reason I couldn't upload the video, and I think I know why right now, because a lot of times we take stuff for granted, and unfortunately, I wake up this morning and someone else has died, as a result of police officers pulling the trigger or shooting someone. But anyway, I know the headlines read, cop's wife bashes all cops. But for some reason, negative connotation kind of goes viral. And this video is not that at all. I'm just clearing up that matter right now. It only means that I'm talking about some of the police officers. But it seems like we got a problem right here in America. And I'm just picking out two things that has come to me this morning concerning what's going on. One is provoking. Two is resisting. And it's happening on both ends, provoking and resisting. Not all the times on both ends, but majority of the time it's happening on both ends, provoking and resisting. Not respecting another person's feelings, and resisting as a result of the person not respecting those feelings. So police officers and civilians, we got to stop provoking one another. That's another gasoline added to the fire situation. Is there a time to resist? Probably, but based on the way things are going right now, I wouldn't recommend resisting. I wouldn't recommend it at all. I would make sure that I speak clearly about everything that's going on. It just seems like the police officers are trigger sensitive, and we're feeling sensitive. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and then maybe they're feeling sensitive and we get trigger sensitive. It goes both ways, but we got to stop provoking and we got to stop resisting. Police officers, a lot of times you do provoke. You'll say stuff, and by you being a police officer, you expect people not to respond, and that's not right, because as the First Amendment say, they got freedom of speech. Now, to talk to you any kind of way, no. But to say something to you about what's going on, yes, they have the right to speak to you. They can speak to you about what's going on. And no, I wouldn't recommend anybody having court on the side of the road. So if you get a ticket, hey, go to court and fight it. Go to court and fight it. Don't fight stuff on the side of the road. Stuff just happens. We're seeing it right now. It's happening. But like I said, police officers, you got to stop provoking. You got to stop doing it. You got to start respecting people, in and out of uniform. And civilians, you got to respect them as well. We got to respect them as well. Their job is to make sure the law is being upheld, even though some of them don't set a great example sometime. But hopefully maybe this video inspire them to try to do what's right all the time. Hey, and another thing, before I even cut this off, I need to say this right here. Once you become who you are and you're in a position to where you have to correct people, make sure you're correct, because the word of God says first you get that out of your eye before you try to get the plank out of somebody else's. So make sure you're right about what you're going on. Am I saying don't chastise people or don't correct them? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is make sure you're exercising the same rights. Make sure you're exercising the same responsibilities. Make sure you're doing right to enjoy the same privileges. You don't get to belittle people. You don't get to belittle people because you're in a position to say you're going to be who I think you are, and that's incorrect at all times. We all mess up. We all do wrong. We all come short in some manner. Just make sure that you treat people the way you want to be treated at the end of the day. No matter what color they are, no matter how much money they got, make sure you treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And if you know you haven't treated, and if you know you didn't treat a person right, make sure you take on the initiative to apologize. Because that's another reason why we got such a problem. A lot of y'all don't want to apologize for what you're doing wrong. A lot of you don't want to take responsibility. And it's time that we start taking responsibility, for our actions. You know, when we take responsibility for what's going on and stop being in denial and or either feeling like we're entitled, then guess what? Everybody gets to go home at the end of the day. Everybody gets to enjoy privilege. Just make sure you treat people the way you want to be treated. You know, you got your uniform on, you looking real nice. I know my husband look nice in his. Just you know, even if they aren't looking nice, you know, make sure you treat them right. God said, you know, the word of God said, if you done it to the least of them, you've done it to me. And if you call yourself a person of God, Lord God forbid, and you're on a police force and you're treating people any kind of way, that's not good. The word of God also said, love thy neighbor as thy love thyself. So with all of that said, just understand that, you know, I'm not talking about all police officers, because all police officers aren't bad, you know, police officers. And if you're offended and you're a cop, you know, maybe you're part of the problem. Then again, maybe you're not. You're just offended because you do such a good job, and these are your constituents who you work with, and you just want to, you know, uphold and protect them as well. I'm just saying that all of y'all are not good guys, and you know, and you're just gonna have to come out of denial and recognize it. And some of you need counseling, and some of the administrators who are over you should recognize when you need counseling. Some of the police departments are understaffed. They don't have enough workers. They'll say they have enough workers, but in actuality, there's not enough law enforcement officials on duty protecting the communities because of money, because of pay. A lot of police departments are understaffed, and working understaffed can be stressful because you get back-to-back calls, and by the time it's time to think about something you've done, you've already done it. And just imagine what happens when you take a life and you haven't had a moment to yourself before you went into a heat of a moment situation. So it's got to be something done to get money back in that capacity, so that they can hire more police officers to deal with what's going on in our communities. I'm not calling all cops bad cops, but we do have some bad ones. We really do. We have some racist cops. We do. And as a cop's wife, I will say that. And that's very unfortunate. A lot of people get thrown under the bus as a result. It's amazing how we find ways to keep people locked up, but can't find a way to keep them out of jail. And I know the prison system is very profitable for some businesses right now. You got to realize something, and it kind of gets mistaken sometimes. I maybe overlook that you can't. People with addictions, incarcerating them isn't the best thing. These people need to be rehabilitated. They need to be in a mental facility. They need to be somewhere where they can talk about what's going on in their life, the reason why they're going through what they're going through, and maybe if they could talk about that, maybe they can walk away from whatever addiction they've picked up. So incarcerating people with a shoplifting problem, an alcoholic problem, addiction to other drug problem, and not rehabilitating them, I wouldn't recommend doing it. I think they need to be sent to some kind of facility, and it may need to be ongoing for a while until they can function with the general population again without picking up their addiction, because there's a lot of people going through issues as a result of why they're committing other criminal acts. We're dealing with some sick people, and we're dealing with some people that are poor and feel suppressed and oppressed and depressed and stressed, and poor people make poor choices sometimes. But with that said, I'm gonna put my video on, and I'm gonna let you all watch that video. But like I said in the beginning, I am not talking about all police officers. I'm definitely not, gearing it towards anyone specific that, around me and my husband. This is just something that was on my heart, and I spoke my mind concerning that matter. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. It's okay to not agree with me. It's the way my heart is, what my heart is feeling. Does that make my heart right all the time? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Do police officers not have the right to shoot some? Yes, they do have the right to shoot, some people, somebody who's endangering the lives of others. Yes, they do. They have to take on that concept of responding. But with that said, I'm gonna put my video on, and I'm gonna let you all watch that video. Alton Sterling. Wow. We are here again. Wow. Now I'm reminded of ancestral slavery, Emmett Till, Mississippi burning massacres, rolling issues of Rodney King, fast forwarding to the 2000s and feeling the overwhelming pain of Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Sandra, God rest her soul, Bland, and more in between tragedies before we're faced with yet another incident. And now that's unfortunately such another untimely tragedy, such another heat of the moment occurrence, such another misunderstood situation that has cast someone or has cost someone their life. Not a feet, not an arm, not a leg, but a life. I always hear about this from an officer's perspective, when the incident happened where a cop kills someone. And I hear about it from a lawyer's perspective, the lawyer telling, the lawyer's telling the story, or the chief of police, or the mayor, I even hear about it from the media, from the victim standpoint, which can be very compelling when you lose a loved one, when you lose a loved one to violence. Such occurrences of you felt like it could have been avoided. That it's very compelling to hear from the victim's perspective. And then you get the public's angle. And you get a lot of lashing out there. I mean, good and bad. You get all kind of advice, all kind of opinions, assumptions, ridicule, criticism. You face it all. But what about the cop's wife's perspective? Yes, the cop's wife's perspective. The one who considers herself to be a good and honest wife of a cop. It's really unfortunate that we are afforded that perspective or that opportunity to hear what the wife or the family of the cop, has to say, because unfortunately they were dragged into a situation where they weren't there and they didn't help make that decision. But guess what? They become influenced by it. They face the aftermath of it. I tell you, it's heartbreaking. It's damaging. Am I telling you because I've been through it? Not to the point where my husband, yes, I am a cop's wife. Not to the point where my husband had to take someone's life, but to the point where, a simple traffic violation can cause so much, it could cause a whole lot of uproar. Stuff, that could be avoided. Stuff that, possibly don't have to take place. But unfortunately, things just take place sometimes. So let's talk about the good and honest cop's wife perspective. A good and honest cop wife, she meanders what's taking place. She meanders. She doesn't just look at, how this is going to affect my husband. This is what happens. She says stuff like this. Lord, it could have been my husband, because the victim is